ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. Welcome to the scripture class this Friday. And as you see in the background, again, another place like earlier Friday class on the gospel that was from Calgary in the west. Now it is little towards east, and I am now in Ottawa, capital of our country. And with the devotees, they're also here and they're also listening, and you're also listening online. So I had, as I said last time, I was in Calgary, and one little girl of grade 7, she gave me a small gift painted by her, welcoming spring, and wrote one nice message that I want to share to you. Um, her name is Dakshayani, and she is originally from Mauritius, now a Canadian citizen. But she wrote very nicely to Swami Kripamayananda, spring is here to warm our hearts and make our days brighter. Thank you so much for the enlightening talk. I wish you a happy spring, Swamiji, and hope to see you soon from Dakshayani. So that's a beautiful note from a little girl. So just I wanted to share to you. So in the gospel, as we are continuing, we are on page 362, and this deliberation, this conversation is from Monday, December 24, 1883, that Sri Ramakrishna is having with the devotees, and M, the recorder of the gospel, is present there, listening to the things. So earlier, how Sri Ramakrishna praised Surendra's work and all that. So we had in the last time. Today, 362, and it's towards the end of this thing, the end of the page. If you have books, you can look at it. The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. It was evening. The master was sitting on the floor of his room with the devotees. He was talking to them about yoga and the 6 centers. These are described in the Shiva Samhita. So M says about the little description about the chakras. It is about the 6 centers in our body. These are the spiritual centers doctors cannot see by doing the surgery of our spinal cord, but in the spinal column. But in the spinal column, it says the yogis see those who practice that, they can see through their spiritual eyes the 3 nerves. So, and they are interconnected as 6 junctions, both 3 nerves. One nerve runs through the middle, and it's called Sushumna, and one on the left and on the right is called Ida and Pingala. So Ida and Pingala and Sushumna. Sushumna is the spiritual channel. If it is roused, the Kundalini, the power of the Divine Mother or the spiritual power, that is there in every human being at the base of the spinal column, spinal cord or spinal column, that rises up. The rising of the Kundalini power or the yogic power or the divine power is the secret of spiritual enlightenment according to Shiva Samhita, according to this chakras theory. So that's what Sri Ramakrishna is describing to the devotee. Master saying, Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna are the 3 principal nerves. All the lotuses are located in the Sushumna. They are formed of consciousness like a tree made of wax. The branches, twigs, fruits, and so forth, all of wax. The Kundalini lies in the lotus of the Mooladhara. The lotus has 4 petals. The primordial energy resides in all bodies as the Kundalini. She is like a sleeping snake coiled up, of the form of a sleeping snake, having the Mooladhara for her abode. To M, the Kundalini is speedily awakened if one follows the path of bhakti. God cannot be seen unless she is awakened. Sing earnestly and secretly in solitude. Waken, O Mother, O Kundalini, whose nature is bliss eternal. Thou art the serpent coiled in sleep in the lotus of the Mooladhara. This is about the chakra theory that is described in Shiva Samhita and Tantra. So the spiritual energy as the primordial energy is lying at the Mooladhara, at the base of our spinal cord, at the coccyx. And there are in the Sushumna, in the nerve that goes from the Mooladhara to Sahasrara from through the spinal column, has three nerves. One in the center called Sushumna. On the left is Ida, on the right is Pingala. And Ida and Pingala, they cross with Sushumna at 6 joints. And the first one, where they are three together, their conjunction is there in them, is called Mooladhara base. There is the seat of Divine Mother, Shakti, spiritual energy. And that energy is lying dormant in every human being. In yogis, the energy is awakened and it passes through Sushumna and reaches the higher state. And as her position changes in the Sushumna, that changes the mental level of the person. So what are the lotuses? This is called chakras or lotuses. Both names are said. Yogis have seen that these are like have petals, like how many petals, what are the color, all they have seen through their spiritual eye, not through physically. That's why Sri Ramakrishna says it is made of consciousness. And all are these made of consciousness. Nobody can see the Ida, Pingala and Sushumna because they are not concrete form, physical form. They are spiritual forms, seen only by the yogis. And it has been experienced not by one person, but by many yogis, those who do Kundalini Yoga. They want to have spiritual illumination by rousing the Divine Mother or the Kundalini, sleeping or dormantly lying at the base of spinal cord. So, and Sri Ramakrishna says to that song, he said, is like the sleeping snake coiled up. There is no snake. It's not the snake or anything. It's just the dormant energy, and snake is just a metaphor for something that can wriggle out and go and long. Just coiled up in a small place doing nothing. It's static. It's not working. It's not showing its movement. It's just static. That's why it is said the coiled snake. It's a metaphor given for the unawakened energy lying dormant. That is why it's called sleeping snake. It's nothing to do with snake. It is not there in the form of coiled snake. It's just their dormant energy, spiritual energy sitting there. And that place where it is sitting is called Mooladhara. Mooladhara, basic substratum, the meaning of Mooladhara. It is there in every being. So he said that you have to pray to awaken this. No one can be spiritual without the awakening of Kundalini. Now all have to visualize Kundalini. All have to rouse the Kundalini. No. Rising of Kundalini and transformation of our mind or mental attitude is the same thing. So one way to express our growth in spirituality is his Kundalini is rising. He's becoming more spiritual. He's becoming more kind, more serving. Is that his or her Kundalini is rising, even without knowing that it is Kundalini rising. But Kundalini rising will have the same effect like the mental transformation. That's why Sri Ramakrishna says, no one can have enlightenment without the rising of Kundalini. And you should pray for this. Sri Ramakrishna himself saw that. Lotus he saw. And he says to him, his disciple, and he should sing that, "Waken, O Mother, O Kundalini, whose nature is bliss eternal." That beautiful song, Jagoma Kula Kundalini, that song is there. That beautiful song is there. So that's what he says to him. Sing that in secret. It's a song, it's a prayer. You pray to Kundalini to rise, and then it will rise, and you will visualize, and your ideas will change, your thoughts will change. There will be transformation in you by just praying to Kundalini. How will it rise? How the Kundalini will rise? It's dormant. By prayer. And praying to whom? Pray to Kundalini itself. Kundalini is the power of God. You are praying to God, that is residing. Some say God resides in the heart. This Kundalini Yoga says God, or the primordial energy, resides at the base of our spinal cord. And you pray to that, and by prayer alone it will start rising. Your mind will change. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna says. And he says, sing earnestly and secretly in solitude. You don't have to say to anyone. What you just visualize, there is a divine power in you, and you want it to rise, and you pray to it, Mother, please rise. Mother, please be active in me. Make me spiritual. Your becoming awakened will make my spiritual awareness possible. Like that, you pray to Mother in silence. Now, he gives the example. Sometimes when we teach something, we say Sri Ramakrishna saying, now Yam knows Sri Ramakrishna is God. And his every word is very important to Yam, Sri Ramakrishna, every word is like words of God. So it is true and it's beneficial, it is effective, like that thing. But still, you need to give some example when you say something to make it more effective to the person. So he gives the example of Ram Prasad. Ram Prasad achieved perfection through singing. One obtains the vision of God if one sings with yearning heart. Just by singing, you will have the vision of God. But he gave one word, very important: yearning, longing to have the vision of God. With that yearning and longing, if you sing, then only you will have the really vision of God will be there. Vyakulata, it's called in Bengali, in Sanskrit, called Vyakulata. You long to see God. You have yearning to see God. If that you pray and sing and yearn to have that, anything to have success in life, we have to yearn for that, longing. A student who longs to have great mark, then only with that longing will add his studies, focus, concentration will all come with that yearning. He wants to achieve something, he wants to get good marks, he wants to get admitted to good courses in the university. So if there is longing for that, getting to that, and he puts his effort in that way, and prayer, they say all our success has got two factors. One is our own effort, and other is the grace of God. So if these two combine, then we get success. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara. Tatra Srir Vijayo Bhuti. There is prosperity and Vijay, conquer, success. When Yogeshwara Krishna and Dhanurdhara Partha are together. If they are together, Yogeshwara Krishna is the grace of God, Dhanudhara Partha is the self-effort. If they combine together, then there is definitely Tatra Si Bijayo Bhuti, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. I have no doubt, I am very sure, Dhruva, Nishchit, that there will be success and there will be prosperity when they combine together. Hard work with yearning, full attention, and then graced by God, then there will be success. So Sri Ramakrishna says, Ram Prasad says, even achieve perfection through singing. One obtains the vision of God if one sings with yearning heart. There are so many singers, they say beautiful bhajans, all do not realize God. Because there is bhajan, singing, desire for becoming famous as a singer. What a beautiful singer I am, like that. If there is desire to realize God, it will come. The desire, when it becomes strong desire, it becomes yearning or longing. That is the thing Sri Ramakrishna says. Then there is no wish for becoming famous, earning more money, being more prosperous, being celebrity is not there. Beautiful. They sing like Mirabai, sing like Ram Prasad. So sing with yearning, with particular goal in life. M. M says, grief and distress of mind disappear if one has these experiences but once. M went through many distress in life. His children died. He had problem of relationship with his parents. So like those things. So perhaps M is he's supporting Sri Ramakrishna's statement and say grief and distress of mind disappear if one has these experiences but once. So he might have some experience by Sri Ramakrishna teaching, the Sri Ramakrishna says now to do. But once you have that, the Kundalini rising, your grief for the things will become less. Grief is something that even if we intellectually know that this world is unreal, everything changes, but when really it comes to us, it is like a blow on in our life. It's very difficult to reconcile with that. But once we have realization, like that Kundalini rising, our mind really feels that there is everything is changing in the world. Everything belongs to God, and they may be taken away any day. So many things we read in forwards that whatever you have is the gift of God. Nothing belongs to you. God has given you, and God can take you. Take that thing from you anytime. Don't be upset because God has taken its own thing. Someone, your neighbor, gives you something to keep when he is going out. Can you keep this valuable jewelry? Now it's not there. Earlier time. Now we keep in the bank vault, safe vault in the bank. But earlier time there were no banks and vaults, so they used to give to their neighbor when they used to go for pilgrimage, long pilgrimage. Keep it with you. When I come back, please give me. So neighbor used to keep, and when they came back, they say, "Can you give me back my box of jewelry?" The person said, "Gladly he will give." Because his responsibility is less. He will not mind in doing anything because he knows that the box of jewelry was not never his, and he was just keeping it belongs to that person. So if we have this knowledge or awareness that everything that we have in life belongs to God, so when if God takes back that, we will not be sorry, but it is very difficult. We are steeped in our own attachment. So that is the problem. Attachment creates bondage, and whenever there is something shocking on the bondage, we suffer a lot. So even the wise person suffer, even those who do not really feel that everything belongs to God, they suffer. So to get rid of suffering is to know that everything belongs to God. This whole my life belongs to God. Everyone that I have belongs to God. Everything that I have that belongs to God. So by that way, we will not suffer when changes come. To accept the changes. Buddha told that everything that you hold dear in life is subject to change, decay, and separation. Everything will separate. That whatever you hold dear in life, one day it will go away. You hold your body to be so dear, it will go away. You hold your ego, I-ness to be so dear, it will go away. Only the impression of your mind will go with you. But your everything, when we die, our ego or I-ness will go, but that ego or I-ness will be so different from the ego that we have here. I sense will be there. It will be different I sense, it will be different ego. But the ego that we have here, I am rich, I am human being, I am this, all will be vanished as soon as our body goes, and this prana goes away, this subtle body goes away, moves from this life to another life. All will be vanished, whatever we see. So whatever we hold dear, that will go away. That will be separated. That's Buddha said. And M says, grief and distress of mind disappear if one has these experiences but once. So that is the importance of spiritual experience. Once we have, it gives us great strength to deal with this ever-changing world. Otherwise, we'll fall prey to grief, suffering, shocks that will be always there. So once experience, once this, that there is the divine being, that is our true nature. Master continues, that is true. Distress of mind disappears forever. I shall tell you a few things about yoga. But you see, the mother bird doesn't break the shell until the chick inside the egg is matured. The egg is hatched in the fullness of time. It is necessary to practice some spiritual discipline. The guru, no doubt, does everything for the disciple, but at the end, he makes the disciple work a little himself. When cutting down a big tree, a man cuts almost through the trunk. Then he stands aside for a moment, and the tree falls down with a crash. This is what we and Daniel are talking now, that how to realize our true nature. And true nature, experience our true nature or the nature of Atman. So experience through the mind is not possible, but we can go up to the door and knock it, and the door has to be opened by someone. That is what Sri Ramakrishna says, that the guru may do everything for the disciple, but disciple has to practice. That Sri Ramakrishna, like guru, he could give knowledge definitely to the disciple, but still he says, but the egg is not hatched unless the chick is formed inside. So it will not just, if you had before time, the bird will not come out from the egg. That it has to ripen with time, situation. Those are all important. That's why he says disciple has to practice the spiritual disciplines to attain the moksha, though there may be grace of God. So effort is very necessary. Only grace will not work. Even the grace is like having doing the work and having its result in it is enormous result that we get with a small work amount of work, that is called grace. Sri Ramakrishna says the wind of breeze of grace is always blowing, but you have to unfurl the sail. Then only the sail will catch the wind. So this unfurling, that much effort has to be done. By that, what you do? The whole your boat is carried to the other shore. You do nothing for that. Only little work and enormous effect. Otherwise, you had to row the boat all through the waters of the river. That much work is not done, all by the grace of God. But little unfurling of the sail we have to do. Do little japam and pray to God. That you do, but then God will come to you. Then your life will be totally changed. Your life will be from all this suffering and misery, they all will vanish in your life, and there will be peace, experience of peace in your life by doing that much of sadhana. And of course, this, as Sri Ramakrishna also said, you do little sadhana, then the grace of God comes to you. One step you come towards God, God comes 10 steps towards you. And it is so true. By sadhana, one cannot realize God. Sadhana is connected with the grace of God. So when we start doing sadhana, grace comes to us. The more we do sadhana, the grace comes manifold more to us, and we progress in spiritual life. Like the example of cutting the tree, Sri Ramakrishna says, what they do, they used to cut the tree with a saw. And they don't fully cut, Sri Ramakrishna says. They cut almost up to the end when the trunk is still standing, and they get away from there. And the trunk will fall by itself. If they fully cut the tree, then trunk may fall upon them. So that is not the way. They just leave a little portion so that they can go away and it falls by its own weight. So that is the thing that they don't cut fully. So the grace of God, you can say, the falling of the tree. You did the effort and the falling of the tree, that much the grace of God, you may add that. So that is what something everyone has to do. That's the thing. Now, another example, he said, the farmer brings water to his field through a canal from the river. He stands aside when only a little digging remains to be done to connect the field with the water. Then the earth becomes soaked and falls of itself, and the water of the river pours into the canal in torrents. They used to make canal connecting their fields with the river from the high upper level, so that the river flows down near their field. They would make it the canal from the upper, and they will dig and dig and dig. Water will come to their field, near their field. And when it came to the field, they will not just connect and dig off. What they will do is they will keep it small, and the water will gush by itself. That is the tradition. If they make the canal, it is difficult to dig in the water, but that much they will leave, and that water will soak that small piece of earth, and the earth will collapse, and the canal will be open, it will be open, and the water will flow, and that the farmer enjoys. That his fields are being irrigated. Now there will be crops, there will be grains to feed his children and relatives and the people, and whatever is more, he can sell and get some money to buy the thing that is needed. All because of that canal, it will happen. So that is a great joy. A man is able to see God as soon as he gets rid of ego and other limitations. He sees God as soon as he is free from such feelings as I am a scholar, I am the son of such and such a person, I am wealthy, I am honorable, and so forth. He gives the example of is how our upadhis are added. This is called upadhis. What would we add? In our when you have your phone system, they give this. You have so much data, you have so much calling, you have this call forward, and there are add-ons. You can still add more data, more this call forward, or call saving, what is it, voicemail. You can add on. So that is our add on to our ego. We are human beings. We have that ego already. Then all our achievements in life are just add ons to our ego, that I am now higher secondary, I am now a student of medicine, and I'm now a doctor, I am now a rich man, I am now a famous doctor, I'm recognized everywhere. Now my interviews are taken in TVs. So all these are add-ons, and they make your ego stronger and bondage stronger, and the suffering will be more with all our upadhis added on us. They are not going to make our life easier. They're going to make our life complicated and difficult. Though you may have a lot of luxury in your life, you may buy big house, now you're famous, but your the ego will create problem. The one who can conquer ego even after success, he is or she is a happy person. In conquering ego is very important. Ego is troubling. It's a troubling source that we all have. How to tame that ego? It is Sri Ramakrishna says there are two kinds of ego. One is ripe ego and unripe ego. That who says I am this great person, I am a son of that person, and I am rich, I am wealthy. This is unripe ego. Even those who say I have nothing, I am poor, that is also unripe ego. That that forced humility, that's not a real humility. And the guilt feeling, unripe ego. What did I do that? I mean, this is all unripe ego. The ripe ego is I am the servant of God. God works through me. God has directed me to serve others. God has given me so many things. All your success, you all give credit to some divine power. That because of that, I have achieved this. I have done nothing. All that is given to me, it is granted to me. Our this Abhijit Banerjee, he won a Nobel Prize in economics. He was an Indian, a Bengali gentleman. You must have seen him doing that with an Indian dress. First time ever someone went with the Bengali dress to receive the Nobel Award. And the one that impressed me very much was his comment on how could you get this? How did you do this? You are so great. So you are the top at the economics and give such a theory that even the Nobel Committee recognized your highest gift. Then what he said? He said, no, there are so many others like me. All are able to get Nobel Prize. But in my case, it is like the আমার ভাগ্যে শিখে ছিল. That's in Bengali. Something is hanging, and a cat was there wanting to eat, and he cannot jump up to that ceiling. Now it is trying to have, and one day really that pot falls down, and it eats the thing that is in the pot, some butter or whatever is there. So how did it fall? By the cat's luck, good luck. It falls on the ground and eats. That's called in Bengali like that. In my luck, it fell on near me. I could get it. So he says that by chance I got it. It could be any one of us. That is humility. That I am not super. I am equal to many others. That makes one humble. And this humility is the beauty of a achiever, a successful person. Without humility, with arrogance, that is like something rotten, fishy smell from a very healthy body. A healthy body, but fishy smell. So, like that is the arrogance. It's not good. But when there is humility in a person who is successful, so that is the real gift of God. And humility comes from the idea that I am not something other. I am also a human being like so many. Little intellect God has given me, situations have given me some training. I could give some education because of all the situations some others could not get. And something came through me by God's grace, and it was recognized by God's grace. All is the chance factor. So nothing to give credit to myself for what has been recognized. It is all by chance it happens. By something it happens. It could happen in any other case. That is humility. That's the beautiful thing that a spiritual person will have. That making oneself equal to others. What is my identity? My identity is human being. And with all human beings, I'm equal like that thing. Whatever add-ons might be there. I may be PhD, I might be MPhil, but I am equal to any person that is not that is just a high school pass. There is no difference as the human being. I also eat, sleep, and I also want little comfort. That person also wants the comfort. Maybe my salary is little more, that's why I have a bigger house. That person is, but we all dwell in the house. We need same length of bed to sleep at night. We eat same bread to feed ourselves. I may have a few $1,000,000 in the bank account. He doesn't have. He might have a few $1,000, but that doesn't make difference. You with all $1,000,000, if you do not really use it in charity or give to someone in need, that will be in the bank, and you will die. In the same way as the another person high school pass will die. So there's no difference in the having a lot of money and big house and all that. You need the same length of bed to rest at night. You need the same amount of food to eat, same kind of food to eat, and same time you grow old, diseases are there, and you suffer in hospitals, and at the end we die. That person also dies. As human beings, we all are equal, regardless of what status we have. This feeling of equality makes us practice equanimity. That is called yoga. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Sri Krishna said in the Gita. Yoga is the practice of equanimity, treating everyone equal, feeling yourself equal to all, oneness with all. That is yoga. So, getting rid of ego and its limitation. Ego limits us. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna said. And what kind of ego is there? He gives, I am the son of such and such a person, means something boasting. I am wealthy, I am honorable, and so forth. One has to get rid of this to have the real spiritual touch. And he says, God alone is real and all else unreal. The world is illusory. That is discrimination. One cannot assimilate spiritual instruction without discrimination. Discrimination was the word used it for viveka. Viveka is the very spiritual word to discern. Now the discrimination has become socially very not comfortable word, that you discriminate something means you make something separate, not you, it belongs to someone else. Like that word has been in use for the later time in our times, that you discriminate from other people, from man to man, you discriminate like that. But its meaning was to discern, to separate. That is called discrimination. You always have some thought that what is discrimination, that God alone is real and all else is unreal. This is called viveka, to think that everything is unreal. Why unreal? Everything is changing. So everything changing, as it was said in Tyagananda's talk, that one thing doesn't change, that is God. God is real, unchanging, ever present, eternal. Everything else is changing. So try to think that way and accept the changes that happens in nature. So that will make you wiser and happier. And that is called discernment, which is written here as discrimination. It is spiritual, this word used in the spiritual context. The spirituality says make all your own. There is no social discrimination at all. It's very unspiritual thing. So wherever discrimination is used in our scriptures in the ancient world, that means discernment, making, trying to understand that. Understand is the thing, that world is unreal and the God alone is real. The world is illusory in the same sense. It is illusory means it is there and it won't be there. Something that is there for the time being is called illusory. In illusion, in magic, you see the thing that is not there. So, like seeing snake in a rope, that is illusion. By illusion, we see a snake in a rope. There is rope, but we see snake. Why it is illusory? Because if you take light, there is no rope, there is no snake at all. It's gone, vanished. So that's called illusory because it is not permanently there. It's for the time being. One cannot assimilate spiritual instruction without this quality of making, separating the thing from real and unreal. Through the practice of spiritual discipline, one attains perfection by the grace of God. By one, but one must also labor a little. Then one sees God and enjoys bliss. If a man hears that a jar filled with gold is buried at a certain place, he rushes there and begins to dig. He sweats as he goes on digging. After much digging, he feels the spade strike something. Then he throws away the spade and looks for the jar. At the sight of the jar, he dances for joy. Then he takes up the jar and pours out the gold coins. He takes them into his hand, counts them, and feels the ecstasy of joy. Vision, touch, enjoyment. Isn't it so? What a beautiful example he gives of the vision of God. That joy of God vision is not only when we have vision of God, only when we have realization. But the very path is joyful. Little you do practice, a little mind concentrated, little ego is gone. Little you start experiencing always already that you are not hurt by the comments of the people. You can stand the comments of the people. I used to be very angry earlier. You feel the difference. Your anger has become less when the things that are unpalatable to come palatable comes to you. You have become less angry. You can endure more. You have become stronger in that sense. So that itself is a sign of spiritual progress. You work little hard in spirituality. Practice your spiritual disciplines every day in the right time, with right earnestness, then you progress will be faster. And as the progress is faster, and the basic anger and the greed and lust are all these become grow less and less. You find greater peace, greater joy that is always there. And like Sri Ramakrishna gives how this experience of joy comes. Gives the some person had got the information that in your backyard there is there is gold buried. Your ancestors, your forefathers have buried the gold. And he really had doubt and goes to really there is or not. So he starts digging that with the spade. And while digging, suddenly he says he struck on a thing and it's a metallic sound. And then his joy was there. Yes, really, there is something, that something is there. And whether it is gold or just earn, he doesn't know. Then what has the person has given, there is assurance is there, some valuable thing is there. And he removes the rest of the earth with his hand, and she's really there is a lid and there is a urn there inside, and that finds joy, and he starts dancing with yes, there is now lot of hope that it will be gold coin. It's not empty. So then he digs further on all the sides and brings the jar and have so much joy that he just keeps it and doesn't open it. Little doubt what is inside. But what the person has said so far, the thing have come true that there is a jar hidden, filled with gold inside. Then little more faith in his words, in the person who had told him that words come. And then he's so happy and joyful. Suddenly he become rich with more gold coins. And then he lifts the lid after taking it out. There really shining yellow metal inside the coins. The rounds are there, And he is so much ecstasy. Really, everything is true. Now I have become millionaire. So much of gold. Now I will give it to the bank and I will exchange with money and whatever I will keep in the vault. Whatever he wants to do. Suddenly he became rich in his mind. The world has not to recognize him as wealthy person. Now he knows I am wealthy person. That itself makes him very happy. Now how much I have got? He touches the coin and then counts it. Oh, there are 1,015 like that. I have become so much rich. Every coin, $4,000, and I have become so much money. Like that thing, he becomes millionaire suddenly. So like that, joy comes, and he is now after counting the coin, he is in not only joy, he is in ecstasy. He is out of himself. Suddenly, it is like getting the lottery. When one gets lottery, it happens. In lottery also there is no hope. And sometimes this lottery, they say, people say that in lottery also sometimes it's a great joy suddenly happening. You had nothing and suddenly you become rich with $15 million. Suddenly so much money comes. And some people find difficult, the shocks are difficult to digest and accept. Similarly, this joy is also difficult to digest. Some may get sick, some may get heart attack. Shocks create heart attack, and sometimes this very happy news suddenly coming may create heart attack. There was one person who had purchased the lottery. He had some heart problem really, and now he got the prize, first prize, $15 million. And now how to break this news to the person? They called one his doctor, his family heart specialist doctor, to make something. Said if something happens, please treat him and make him save him his life. How to break? Said doctor said, I will break. I will know how to do it. Then he said to that person, said, suppose you bought a lottery this time. Yes, I always buy. Suppose you got lottery this time. You won the lottery. I buy every year, doesn't get, it comes to only fortunate and rich person. Where it will come to me? It won't be there. So suppose you get it, what you will do to the money? Then he says, if I win lottery this time, I'll give 50% of that to you. And the heart specialist doctor got heart attack and he died. Because lottery was unreal for the person. He didn't believe that he has got. But for the doctor, it was real. For him, $7.5 million, immediately it happened to his. It was real. And this shock, he never expected that he will have so much money, and he collapsed because of joy, unexpected joy. So, like that, there is danger in joy also. If it is so much joyful and you get, there is heart attack, and this chance may happen to the person. When Mother Teresa won the Nobel Prize, and she was later interviewed, her attendants and the subordinates had asked next morning, what did Mother Teresa do when she got the news from Sweden that she got the Nobel Prize? That and say no, there was no change in her life or routine. She slept, went to bed in time, had the same food, and did prayer with us in the morning. She woke up in the same time. No change in her routine. So that is called digesting happiness. Similarly, digesting shocks and blows. Those are also very important in life to be established in equanimity. Its example is Rama standing in equanimity. How? Rama was supposed to be coronated. His father said he will be coronated. He's going to be the king, king heir to the throne. And so much joy and preparation started. And that night, Kaikeyi, his stepmother, so much she loved Rama. She loved Rama more than her own real son Bharata. So that night, someone said something, and her mind totally changed. And she was taught to say that your son should be this thing king. Why Rama? Rama is, after all, is not your son, he's your stepson. And Kaikeyi accepted that. Times happened like that. Who loved Rama so much, and then she said, you should ask throne for Bharata. Why Rama? Traditionally all elder brothers should have a throne. And then she said, and Dasaratha loved Kaikeyi very much. and he had promised 2 boons to Kaikeyi when she helped her in some battle. And he said, I will ask you when needed. And she remembers that and goes to Dasarath. You told me you'll give me 2 boons. I want 2 boons. What are the boons? One is Bharat should be the king. This Rama was loved by Dasarath very much. Everyone loved, every person in the kingdom loved Rama. And second is Rama should be sent to the forest for 14 years. So that was another blow. For Bharat, it was so much shock that he fell sick. But what about Rama? Rama was broken this news. Dasarath couldn't say to him. But it is implied that Dasarath has to give. It is promise. And one way it went, and Rama was told, you have to go to forest tomorrow. For 14 years. But Rama's staying in equanimity was so great. He was not elated when he was being given throne. He was same Rama. And after that, just reverse, opposite, and tremendous suffering of staying, the prince staying in the forest like a monk or like a beggar, you can say, whatever. He becomes totally deprived of his kingdom and wealth. He has to be forest dweller. And Rama's attitude, his reaction was not changed at all. Tulsi Das praised that thing very nicely. I want the grace from Rama, who was unperturbed, who was unelated when he was getting the throne. And when that reversed to going to forest, he remained same calm and no change, no disturbance in his attitude. So that Rama's face, that shining face of Rama, may that have grace in my life. That's what he says. So that is staying in equanimity, being able to digest shocks and elation. So like that, it goes. And this all are very spiritual quality. We need to practice that until and unless we feel this world is unreal and everything in the world is subject to change. Anything can happen any day. So unless we are mentally prepared for that, little change disturb us, greater change disturb us greatly. So when Rama is not changed, nothing happened. So that means how much he knew that world is just the name of changing events, changing things. That all prosperity and good luck can change and transform into bad luck another day. But what we can do, that is in the situation. Situations are like that. That is how the world is. What we can do is we can remain stable in all situations by practice and knowledge that world is ever changing. It doesn't remain same. It may have happened to anything. That's what Swami Vivekananda's father said to him one thing, and he remembered and told later on to the people in the West that my father told me, never be surprised for anything in the world that happens. Never be surprised. Never have a surprise for anything. Because anything can happen in the world. We get surprised for, we think we'll be always happy. And people are having cancer. And we say, oh, those are having cancer. I will be always healthy. And die, I will die. That also I don't believe. So, and suddenly it comes time, little pain, go to doctor. And doctor says, oh, sorry, you have cancer. Cancer. And how much live? 6 months. 6 months. You die that very moment. 6 months where? All joy. I thought I will do this, I will do that. That is never ending. When we are old and when we are dying, that time also it doesn't happen. Oh, I have not seen the marriage, wedding of my great grandchild. Like that thoughts come. So I will do this, I will do that. This program is always there. So even at the age of 90, that will be there. Because we don't feel that we are going to die. 90 people live for 100. Even 100, there are some people who live more than that. So maybe by God's grace, we feel too much of pain and all the aches are there. And then we say, no, I don't want to live anymore. It's too much. Now it's done. So like that thought comes. It's also, I think, it's the grace of God. We have a little suffering and aches at old age. Then we are not clinging to this old and this body which has been used so much. So that is what is the conversation between Sri Ramakrishna and M. So let us read a few and then we'll close. M said, yes, sir, that we should practice. And there is joy in progress in his spiritual life, as there is joy in finding that person who found the urn, the pot of gold hidden in his ground. The master was silent a moment and then went on. Master, those who are my own will come here even if I scold them. Look at Naren's nature. At first, he used to abuse my mother Kali very much. One day I said to him sharply, Rascal, don't come here anymore. He slowly left the room and prepared a smoke. He who is one's own will not be angry even if scolded. What do you say, M? That is true, sir. So, in the relation, if there is true love, the little scolding doesn't happen. They say husband and wife often they fight on some issue or other, but it's still because there is a deep love. That's why that issue is often forgotten. That I like this, you like that. So there is always a lot of skirmish and wars going on. I said you also doing that. A lot of things happen. But when there is real love, there is no problem in our family life. Even with the children, the same thing. But the problem is nowadays these children are not aware how much parents love them, so that makes little problem, little talking in the in the schools with the people. Oh, my father does, and all the trying to express the negative. Oh, when I asked that I want to have a dog, and my father said no, you can't have dog. Really, my father doesn't love me, like that thing. That thing comes. Arey, dog is so much difficult to keep, and you now to say one day you say please keep dog, I will, and who will look after dog? I have so much work to do. Father will say no, no, I will there, I will look after. You look after for 1 month. After that, father, I'm tired, I have to go to school, I have a lot of to study now all the things come to father. The son brought that or daughter brought the dog, all burden will be on the shoulders of father. So like that happens here. And because he all seeing this thing, the father doesn't bought him or her a dog. He said, no, my father doesn't love me, like that. He doesn't love dog, he loves you. That type of thing may happen, but when there is true love, even little scolding, little not uniformity of all the ideas always, not accepting the idea of one person by other, by husband, by the wife, it doesn't matter. These are little things that they just they don't see it very deeply. Oh, I said that, but my husband didn't agree to that. I said I want to go to some temple, and husband said no, no, I don't want to go. I don't feel like going. That much. He doesn't care for me at all. That may day, maybe he is tired. He was not. We don't think that way. One day doesn't do because one day it was not done, and we take it for granted that whatever the wife says, husband has to accept. Whatever, and similarly, whatever the husband says, wife have to accept. Something. Both cases are there, but these are happen. If you we come, the husband comes from office and wife is there. Suppose she is a housewife not working, and husband says, give me tea. Wife says, I'm at working this, I'll just come in 5 minutes and give you tea. And the husband becomes angry. Oh, I said you were always doing that earlier. 1 week also again you did that. You don't give me. I feel like taking tea. Like that thing. What she's doing, how much she's working, husband doesn't realize. Then there is the friction. And if there is deep love, that doesn't matter. Okay, okay, you do your thing, I will come. I can make it today. They say that. Don't ask many things from husband or wife. Do it yourself. So that is one thing, that's how we can keep our relationships strong. Don't be dependent on husband or wife. Do your things. Sometimes we become too much dependent. Can you give me water, like that thing? Can you give me go and fetch your glass of water? Why you have to ask someone else to do that? So that makes the things much easier. Mm, how That's how the relationship becomes stronger. And when there is love, little that also doesn't matter. They are on the surface, and inside the under the surface is all strong bond of love. That's what Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of Naren. He said he abused Mother Kali. He didn't believe in Kali, in the form God with form, and he must have said it's a stone image and all that. And for Sri Ramakrishna, it is real being, living being, consciousness present there, and and Narendranath, without understanding who Mother Kali is, whatever he has never even visited there. He never went to the temple before all distress was in life, when there was no money, no food, then he even that time also he didn't want to go to Mother Kali. Sri Ramakrishna said, you do not accept Mother, that's why the trouble comes to you. Today go and pray to her. Whatever you ask, Mother will grant. That much assurance Sri Ramakrishna gave. Who says that? Whatever you ask, Mother will give. And Swami Vivekananda went first time, and he saw real God presence. Sri Ramakrishna has seen living presence of the divine. Swami Vivekananda also saw the same thing. And he could not, first time he forgot, second time also forgot, third time Sri Ramakrishna said, go and ask. And third time remembered what to ask, but could not ask, because it was too little thing to ask for some food and some clothing and some money from the divine being who is able to give us mukti, freedom from all bondage. So that he didn't ask for material gains and came to Sri Ramakrishna and said, I couldn't ask. Sri Ramakrishna, don't worry, there will be no problem for you. He could have said earlier also, but he had to say because he never accepted Mother Kali, and he had to take his message of Sri Ramakrishna, of Sanatana Dharma to the whole world. That God can be with form, God without form, all those things he has to bring. He will not believe God with form. Then how can he represent the wholeness of the faith, of the spirituality? It will be one-sided. So, and the Ramakrishna movement is wholeness. That's why he had to make that, accept that. And the Swami Vivekananda accepted. And he says, but Swami Vivekananda loved Sri Ramakrishna. How much Sri Ramakrishna tasted Swami Vivekananda, Narendranath? He used to come, and Sri Ramakrishna used to jump from his seat when Narendranath came. Oh, Naren has come. He was talking to other devotees. Oh, Naren has come. Oh, how are you? How did you come? All this talk with Naren, all are forgotten. Other people will say, what are you doing? He came and you've forgotten totally us. Have you just been carried by the flood water that we came? We also came to see you. We also took the trouble. So much was his love for Naren. He had extraordinary love for Naren, extra attention to taste Naren. One day he did that, he didn't talk to him at all. Naren came, and Sri Ramakrishna was talking with the devotees, and no attention to him. And this type of attitude stayed for 1 month. He didn't talk with Naren at all. Sometimes Naren came and sat there, he just turned aside and was talking with the devotee on this side. Total ignorance for 1 month. And after that, Naren used to come. Then Sri Ramakrishna said, Naren, I ignored you for 1 month. Deliberately he was doing. And you still come? He was very happy. And Naren came. I don't come to what you give me attention or if find joy. I come because I love you. That's why I come. The real love seeks no attention. And that's what Sri Ramakrishna is saying. Naren, I scolded him because he abused my mother. But still he said, made some smoke. That time, that was the thing. Now as we have coffee, tea serving, that time of the smoke was the thing. It was not known that it causes disease. Master, Narendra is perfect from his very birth. Janma Siddha. He is devoted to the ideal of the formless God. That Sri Ramakrishna says, he is devoted to the ideal of formless God. That was Narendra, no doubt. M smiling. Whenever he comes here, he brings along great excitement. He's in Sri Ramakrishna jumping, no? And Naren used to talk wonderfully, he used to sing, he used to bring new thoughts, new ideas, expression of his own ideas. So great. He would just glue the people who are there if he was allowed to talk. People wanted to come Sri Ramakrishna, but great excitement, great joy when Naren comes. Sri Ramakrishna smiled and said, yes, excitement indeed. And the following day was Tuesday, the Ekadashi day of the lunar fortnight. The 11th day of the lunar fortnights are supposed to be very auspicious. We call Ekadashi. People fast on that day. And in the Ramakrishna mission centers in India, we sing Ram Nam that day. Many monks and brahmachari also fast. And devotees fast. That's very tradition of the devotees that they can fast twice in a month on Ekadashi days. It comes Ekadashi on the bright fortnight, Ekadashi on the dark fortnight in Krishna Paksha and Shukla Paksha. So that is very auspicious. And the Ekadashi and Tuesday are together. It was 11 o'clock in the morning, and the master had not yet taken his meal. M, Rakhal, and other devotees were sitting in the master's room. Master to M. One should fast on the 11th day of the lunar fortnight. That purifies the mind and helps one to develop love of God. Isn't that so? He says anything and asks the consent of M. How M will know everything? But that is the tradition. This is done to purify the mind. The fasting is not to show or do something. Sometimes people say, Ramakrishna, there are two types of fasting. One is you fast just as austerity to practice. You don't eat, you want some change. You have the control of mind. I can remain without food. I have not to eat every day. Another is eating something different on the Ekadashi day. They call Luchi Chakka Ke Ekadashi. On Ekadashi day, because you will not eat rice, regular food, so different food. So what are different food? This will be the fried that bread, luchi, puri, and the chokka is the vegetable, nice vegetable, and chickpea dal, and a nice thing like potato, then sabudana. There are lot many varieties on Ekadasi. Then you eat up more than your regular food. It's the change of food, not the really fasting. And so I am doing Ekadasi. I am not eating regular rice today. Dal, they don't use dal, of course, on Ekadasi. Just luchi chakka, some vegetable. So like that is one type of Ekadasi. What type of Ekadasi you do? So Sri Ramakrishna here says Ekadasi should be fasting, not by not eating the meals. So you have control over your daily habits of you something as supposed to be essential. Without that, how will I survive? That I enjoy, that I need. No, something other I can control even that. All it increases your self-control and purifies the mind. And because just by not eating, you just don't, it's not a day of not eating only, not eating and praying more. So you don't have to cook the things mainly, and you devote that time in praying. So that becomes more spiritual practice, and that purifies the mind. Master. But you may take milk and puffed rice. Don't you think so? Yam didn't answer to this question. You eat something, so like that. It was instruction for Yam. That Ekadashi will be better. Sri Ramakrishna slowly guiding him to do the spiritual practice through the ritual that is followed traditionally. All those things is guiding him to do. And him is accepting. You can eat a little something to, because Ekadashi is not a holiday, you have to go to school to teach. And so little something for energy, milk and puffed rice. And he also said not luchi chakka, but puffed rice and milk, and you perform Ekadasi like that. And M didn't answer to his last thing. Perhaps he wants to do it only with water. He didn't want even that. That's why he didn't give the consent. Yes. So this is we end the chapter and this thing today on page 364. Now will be the next chapter, chapter 18, M at Dakshineswar, part 2. With this, we have end of our today's scripture class. It's 8:33, 3 minutes more. And thank you very much for joining online in Toronto. I've been looking at the audience here, so you didn't find me looking at you on the screen, on the camera. Sorry for that, but you have enjoyed that. Our friends and devotees in Ottawa are enjoying the class and the conversation. So, with the closing chants, I close today's scripture class. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. Good night to everyone who are watching online, and let me have some time with the devotees and friends in Ottawa. Then there is arrangement for, I think, some supper is there. So there's a lot of joy, and let me have some time with them. They have been listening for 1 hour quietly at the class. Thank you so much, and good night.